All praises to Yahweh. All praises to Yahweh Shai. All praises for Merkah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone that have been and continue to teach the true gospel. Salute to the Akim, spreading the true gospel on the streets and lanes of the city, on the highways and hedges, and on the World Wide Web. Much love to Homo Akwath, who learn the signs with all subjection and are in righteous order under the men of Yahweh Yahweh Shai. This is the brother Raza from the Church of Philadelphia camp. And hey, the Lord's put my spirit, you know, to go into the prophets. Lord willing, I'd be worthy to be counted of that name, right? Not just being called but chosen. And hey, you see, as the time is moving faster and faster to the major prophecies happening. The MOTB, World War III, and Yahushua coming back. Coming back on the scene, right? To render his judgment. You know, and hey, and again, Lord willing, I'm in a lot of a prophet. By going out on the streets and lanes of the city, by uh, putting up videos on the World Wide Web, and holding classes with brothers, right? And beautiful brothers of the men of valor. The Lord blessed me to sup with them brothers, right? While also being part of the Church of Philadelphia. You know, um, and hey, it's a beautiful thing to see these prophecies rolling, right? To be able to go back in the scriptures and talk about what's happening now and what's happened in the past, right? It's a beautiful thing, even though this is a lonely walk. Except when when I'm with the brothers on you know week in and week out. Unless I'm in class, you know, with the brothers week in and week out too. I'm putting up these videos. That's the only time you really feel joy as a man of the Lord. The only time. Everything else is you going through the motions as a man of the Lord. You got to get your daily bread, so you got to work. Closed mouth, closed mouth, and closed hands don't get fed, right? But we search for new things. We search for a new kingdom, a new role, a role of leadership and righteousness. You know, but hey, enough of me babbling. Let's get into some of these precepts. Just the book of Jeremiah, chapter 28, verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms. Hey, and what are we doing today? It says prophets is subject to the prophets. So, meaning what you did back then, you're doing now. And so, what do we do? Are we speaking against many countries and great kingdoms? Yeah. We're telling Babylon, aka America, that missiles are going to be sent over here, primarily from Russia, and even allies, you know. And hey, that's biblical prophecy. It's not nothing we're going to do, because we're in a spiritual warfare, you know. So don't get carnal and say, oh, you see. But that's what they try to do. They try to label us as so-called T's because we know what's going to happen to this place through spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Bashem El Shai, not through our own means. That's why the Lord said, vengeance is mine. So we waiting on Yahweh Bashem El Shai, not Jesus, not Jesus, not Ahia, but Yahweh, to bring his son, Yahweh Shai, not Jesus, to bring his son, Yahweh Shai, to crack them clouds open. Because heaven is a place on earth, and that means it's going to be our rulership, and the world will be ruled in righteousness, so that we can glorify, magnify, and praise the name of Yahweh Bashem Shai all day and all night long through our words and deeds. You know, but it says the prophets that have been before me. That's why it says again, the spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets, and before they of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. And what have the prophets been doing? Looking at our elders for a while now. They've been talking about the war. They've been talking about all the evil spirits on this earth. People getting killed left and right. And a pestilence. You know, whether it's man-made or, a plague that the Lord don't put on. Either one of them is plagues of the Lord, because the Lord controls the mind. The heart of the kings is in the Lord's hand. And it's going to get worse. Here you got the Department of War calling all the top generals. What do you think they're doing? Eating grape poupon? Playing tic-tac-toe? Checkers? Right? No. They talking about war. They don't come together for no reason. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 33, verse 33. And when it cometh to pass, lo, it will come. Then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them. And it's going to be too late. Because we've been saying this. Our elders have been saying this over and over and over and over again. I know to you, we sound like a broken record. So you're like, okay, you said that 5 years ago. Okay, you said that 10 years ago. Okay, you said that 50 years ago. Right? Just mocking and scoffing. We heard that before. But hey, now that it's coming, hey, now you talking about over there across the pond. Hey, they talking about, hey, if you don't have a digital ID, you can't work, you can't buy, you can't sell, you can't do anything. And they making it mandatory. Now what? What does that sound like? That you've been scoffing and mocking the men of the Lord over. You know? Especially you so-called people that are, so-called knowers. Hey, but what did Yahushua say? A prophet can't be known, right? Let me pull that up, matter of fact. I'll go to Mark. But Yahushua said unto them, prophet is not without honor, but in his own country and among his own kin and in his own house. Hmm. You know? So, hey, men of the Lord know it. Know how that feel. Your own relatives, your own so-called friends, your own neighbors think you just crazy. Think you went crazy. Right? Right? So you can't get any respect. Right? So if Yahushua had to go through it, hey, who are we? But his servants. You know, but what does Jake want? Jake wants smooth things being spoken to him. Spoken to him. That prosperity nonsense, right? But hey, the true men of the Lord ain't gonna do that. We ain't got time for that. You know, this is a short time. When things are about to pop off. You know, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 9. That this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of Yahweh. And all of us men of the Lord have learned from that. You know, because when you first come into this thing, you want to tell everybody. That's all you want to talk about. You when you on the phone, when you walking down the street, you bumping into somebody, hey, you start talking about that. And you continue to talk about it. But those people don't want to hear it. You know? Because they know that once they really hear it, that there's things that they're gonna have to change in their lives. And they ain't willing to do it. Not for nobody. You know? It says, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. That's why you got them women still going to the church 3 times a week, right? And getting taught nothing but lies. But as long as you putting that money in an offering plate or wearing a little skirt, hey, the pastor don't care. He's going to continue to teach you lies, continue to tell you something special. When the men of the Lord are the kings of the household, when the men of the Lord deserves all the respect, right? But the pastor be done uh, talk about his own fellow brethren, right? To get smiles and giggles from women. When they out of order. When the order is Yahweh Shai, men, women, and children. When 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 Eve and all the righteous women called their men Lord, knew that their men were their lords, were their masters. You know? But hey, I'm about to get ready to head out to camp. You know, before I go, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Dash. Lord willing, this video is edifying to the helpful elect. Until next time, Shalom.